Hi, hello, good afternoon, and welcome to this session of the EOSC DIH during the Data Week. I'm glad to present today the session that is focused on the EOSC Digital Innovation Hub. And as the session is full of interesting topics to discuss, first of all, I would like to introduce the first speaker, that is Nikos Biokartis, that will talk about the EOSC DIH as the mechanism to exploit services from the EOSC. Nikos is a founding partner at GMP and supports the EOSC DIH operation in the framework of the EOSC Future. So, Nikos.
Thank you very much, Elisa, and thank you to also big thanks to the organizers of Data Week and the sponsors and all the participants. It's a big pleasure to have the honor to open up this session. I will share a few slides just to get everyone in the mood and provide some background information on the topic of this session. So we're going to discuss the EOSC DIH, the Digital Innovation Hub, and being very pragmatic about it, we will share with you some very interesting information on how this mechanism, it's a business support mechanism, essentially can help participants and the persons and organizations that join its community to really exploit services, a very big range of services from the European Open Science Cloud. So some background. So we hear many often the term of Digital Innovation Hub. So what is it actually? It's according to the European Commission, it's an ecosystem of startups, SMEs, large industries, researchers, accelerators, investors, so all the innovation ecosystem elements that can help foster and create partnerships to stimulate innovation, particularly accelerate digital transformation. In practice, this business support structure gets materialized through partnerships between private and public organizations that can help its participants to really boost their innovation capacity, help them get access to significant services, value-added services such as training, skills, testing, and many other consultancy and business support elements. What is, however, the EOSC DIH? All digital innovation hubs get an area of specialization. So they get a sector or a segment or a target group where they're really good at, they have the resources and the expertise to really help the industry and the SMEs and the startups to boost their innovation forward. In our case, the EOSC DIH is an DIH that does exactly that, stimulates innovation and helps private enterprises by leveraging services, data, and expertise from the European Open Science Cloud. This is an initiative, the European Open Science Cloud, that is a flagship initiative of the European Commission and provides a really big access, a really big window, a portal, I would say, opening up to a very wide range of cloud services, storage, computing, and many other related. We will have a lot of presentations later on to give you more details on that, that can really help startups, spin-outs, and SMEs to accelerate their digital transformation and innovation. It is an initiative that has taken some years to reach its maturity. Originally, it started within a previous project effort called the EOSC Hub. That was the, let's say, the testing the waters kind of initial stage that helped create this Digital Innovation Hub. But as of 1 year ago, it has emerged to the next level of maturity, now being supported and sponsored under the EOSC Future project, another flagship initiative activity from the European Commission. And I can safely say that all the early testing the waters and other trial and error aspects of this initiative have gone away, and it's now in full production mode, meaning that it can substantially offer very valuable services to the industry at commercial level, at a really very mature level. And what are these services? This is the essence of this Digital Innovation Hub, and it comprises a lot of services ranging from technical and technology assets such as computing, high performance computing, cloud computing, storage, online archiving, data management, machine learning algorithms, AI, artificial intelligence, open research data, a very big area of expertise for the DIH, and other tools and applications in the technology domain. However, as we know very well from experience, technology itself is not sufficient for an enterprise, for a startup, especially that has limited resources to really make it to the market. It needs also hands-on consultancy and training, and our DIH offers that to the highest level possible, such as in service management, commercialization, business coaching, brokerage, and other technical consultancy aspects. But also providing a platform and an environment where the participants can test before they invest further in the technology. So one of the core unique selling points, one of our core competitive advantages is that we run pilots, proof of concepts. So we get hand in hand with the SME, and we run together. We help the SME run proof of concept, limited duration pilots to really test the technology, help the technology improve their readiness level, and try out several experiments and analysis before they invest further into the commercialization. Last but not least, a very big aspect of bringing success and technology to the market is also the visibility and the dissemination. So we pay a lot of attention on how can we help the SME and technology to get media exposure, participate in events, get promotional support through material participation in trade fairs, conferences, and other events, and all in all, build a very strong network. Having a strong network, and this is something that we are very proud of, what we do, is one of our key advantages because it opens up many opportunities to areas and segments that for a small SME and a startup would be very difficult to do it alone. You can have a full description of the DIH services just by visiting our website. You can see also the URL here. However, in the following up sessions, we have our colleagues from some of the key service providers that are partners in this endeavor, and they will give you, I think, a very interesting elaboration on some of the most flagship services that are currently being offered by the EOSC DIH. As you can see in this slide, we are pretty much sector agnostic. So we help SMEs and industries from a really big and very wide range of sectors to get support and try out their pilots and their technologies. So far, what you see here are actual pilots. So these are actual sectors that have been onboarded and partnered with our DIH, and you can see really they extend from finance and artificial intelligence up to sports, agriculture, security, space, health, environment. So really a very big range of segments and sectors. Having said that, this is a win-win collaboration. So it's not only beneficial for the SMEs participating, but also for the European Open Science Cloud itself, because through the affinity and collaboration with the industry, with the European SMEs, we also get the opportunity to acquire new knowledge, to get a really very good hands-on insight into the requirements and needs of the European industry, of the European, especially micro SMEs and startups. And we feed this knowledge back to the service provisioning of the European Open Science Cloud, and we improve the services being offered. We add more resources. We customize and come up with new tailor-made product services or other solutions. And generally, we help the EOSC improve and be a better service providing platform for the European industry. How you can get involved? Hopefully, many of you attending have some interest in joining our community through several means. First of all, if you are an industrial representative and you want to run your business pilots, look no further. The timing is perfect because As my colleague Martin will say in a few minutes later on, we just open up our second round of business pilots, closing very soon in 24 days, 21 days from now. Everything for you to apply is very easy process. Martin will provide also a lot of details, but everything is online. So it's a very streamlined and very straightforward process. And we'll be also running an introductory webinar on the June 15th to provide more information and answer any questions from prospective applicants. However, we also offer many other partnership opportunities, as I will give you a very nice picture in a moment. For us, community is everything. So in order to be able to serve the SMEs and the startups in the best possible way, we need a strong network of community partners. So we are also always open and inviting any community partner, any interest organization or individual to join us and have a specific partnership by defining a mutually beneficial engagement area, so that both organizations, both parties can work with us. We can work with you, you can work with us, and have, for example, expertise in a specific field or area that can help enhance the services of our DIH. We maintain a very open channel of communication through our webpage, and we are also maintaining a very active communication and collaboration with other projects at the European level. We see this as a long-term initiative, so we build strategic long-term partnerships. As I said a few seconds ago, the community for us is everything. So what you see here is how we envision and how we operate our Digital Innovation Hub. As you can understand, at its core, it's the people who are offering the services, the actual service providers from the EOSC, from the European Open Science Cloud, the internal experts, the support projects that collaborate with us. So let's say the core, the fundamental ecosystem that provide the first level support to the DIH participants, to the industry. However, the long-term impact and the long-term strategic vision is to have a broader community of actors that can continue to support the alumni or the running pilots of our Digital Innovation Hub, even after the partnership has finished. So it's all about building a network where you bring in other SMEs, other experts from external, you bring further project partnerships on a wider range. We maintain a very good collaboration with competence centers, universities, other European level digital innovation hubs, because, for example, some of the expertise may not be in our own domain. And last but not least, we also maintain a policy level collaboration with the European Commission, the governance of the EOSC, other networks and accelerators and clusters all over Europe. And last but not least, this is all made possible thanks to the contribution and actual work of the partners that you see here. These are all partners currently working together under the EOS Future project to help make the Digital Innovation Hub a reality and work day and night to provide the services. You can reach and get more information for anything you like at the URL you see here. And thank you very much for your attention. I'm sure the next more detailed presentations will give you a very good insight on what we actually offer. Elisa.
Thank you very much, Nikos. Thank you. Now is the turn to introduce these projects that Nikos mentioned. We are going to take one by one, and the first one is going to be DICE. So I invite Deborah Testi to present. Deborah comes from Cineca, and she is the project coordinator of DICE project. So Deborah.
Thank you, Elisa, for the introduction and for the invitation to be part of this very interesting session. So as just mentioned, I will say a few words on which are the services that are provided via the DICE project to the Digital Innovation Hub. So just very quickly, a few words about the project. DICE is one of the Infra-EOSC 7 projects that were funded in 2021, together with the others that will speak after me. And we are about 1 year to the end of the project, so there are still a lot of opportunities to make use of the different services we are providing. The main objective of the DICE project is to provide generic services to store, find, and access data in a consistent and persistent way. So to support the European Open Science Cloud with the storage services, data management services, and the associated resources that are needed to any researchers in Europe. Thanks to the funding of the project, all the resources are provided free at the point of use. So it is a very nice opportunity for everyone also to make some pilots, explore the possibilities provided by the services, and understand if they fit the purpose of the different users. If we look at the research data lifecycle, the services provided via the DICE project basically covers all the steps of the data. From its generation, sorry, up to to their publication and make them available to across communities, and that is the general picture. I will just say a few more words on the categories of services we are providing. We are offering around 14 different services, so I would not go to explain each one of them, but more as main category. So the first category of service we are offering is what we call personal and project workspace, which is basically a place to store data that are still active, so are still subject to changes and updates. And they are is the storage used, let's say, during a project, during a specific project. That is what we call BURO. Then we have the data archive, which is more mid-term storage to keep the data across in between projects. Normally, this storage is very close to computing facilities, and so to make easy pre-processing and broad processing of data. We have done a more advanced data archive, which we call policy-based, which is basically us on top of the basic data archive, the possibility to configure specific policies for the data management, like the addition of integrity checks, calculation of checkpoints, possibility of replication across different size, or adding persistent identifiers. So is seen as a long-term storage for data that are already stable and ready for being archived. Then we have services for the publication and sharing of data. Obviously, this is meant for data that are not being changed anymore, so non-active data. And the repository are meant to support completely the FAIR principle, so to support the user in make the data publicly available and compliant with the FAIR principle. And then we have the services to allow the discoverability and make the data findable across different communities and different users. As I said, I'm not going into the details of all the services. As already mentioned in the presentation before, you can find a lot of details on each of the service in the EOSC DIH web pages. So just feel free to go there and find out more. Just another few words on the type of services. So all the services are generic, horizontal, so they can be used in any scientific and industrial domain without no restriction. They can be used by themselves, as I just mentioned. So like P2Drop service to share data with colleagues or peers during a project, or they having a prefix and assign PIDs, or VisuShare to share data. So each of them can be used by itself, or you can use services in combination with other DICE services, but also in combination with other providers and other EOSC-related services that are available. As you can see from the table on the right side, we have quite a lot of resources available. during the project. So we should be able to fulfill specific needs of the user requesting the resources, but obviously we are open to discuss any specific requests that you might come up with. And obviously support is provided together with the services to configure or to make use of the different services. I will just say a few words on a couple of use cases just to demonstrate how different services can be used together in a real use scenario. This, for example, is one related to the CombBiomed Center of Excellence for Computational Bioengineering. In this case, they make use of four different services. So they have the what we call B2Safe, so the archive, that the policy-based data archive in different size, close to HPC for making their calculation. And data are also replicated across different size. After the calculation, the data are assigned with persistent identifiers, and then they are published and made harvestable through B2Share and B2Find. So as you can see, you can also build an overall workflow for the data across different, all the life of the data. A very similar case is the one from LOFAR, which is Radio Astronomy project. Here, what I want to highlight as a difference with the previous use case is the fact, in this case, we don't have replication of data, so the data are stored at different location, different partners. And here there is a nice combination with the computing resources provided by EGI, and EGI's is project that you will hear more later on. So just to show, as I mentioned before, that it is also possible to combine services coming from different providers and the different projects that are presented today. Just one final picture to show, as I mentioned before, that the service can be used in any domain. These are the domains that we are already covering with users currently in DICE. So we have obviously a strong majority of interdisciplinary and earth science projects, but as you can see from the pie, we are really supporting very large number of community domains, also going to humanities and other kind of research types. As mentioned, it's easy to request the services. Obviously, you can go to the DICE website. All the services are available into the EOS portal, but easier in the moment, probably if you are an SME, is to rely on the second expression of interest that is just open and that will close in the next 3 weeks. That, I think, is everything I had to present today.
Thank you very much, Deborah. Now we are going to move to the EGIA's project, EGIA's Advanced Computing for EOSC. And in this case, the speaker will be Enol Fernandez, that is Cloud Solutions Manager at EGI, and he leads the infrastructure and platform services at EGIA's project. So, Enol.
Thank you very much, Elisa. Good afternoon, everyone. So yeah, I work at EGI Foundation as Cloud Solution Managers, and we'll tell you a bit about the EGIA's project. I will try to make it short. Let's see how it goes. So let me first introduce you the project, the EGIA's project. This is the one of the Infra EOS 07 projects delivering services to EOSC, and the main mission of this one is to implement what we call the EOS Compute Platform and contribute with that to the EOSC data commons. And it is to deliver integrated computing platforms, data spaces, and tools to bring together an integrated solution that is aligned with major European Cloud Federation projects and HPC initiatives. You can see in the map the different partners in blue, where the different partners are in the different countries of Europe, and you can see the different teams there in the map also of the providers that we have in the project. So we have quite a number of them. The budget is 8 million from the EC, and 49% of that budget is dedicated to provisioning of resources via VA. That means free at the point of use for the users, similarly to EEI, to DICE. Sorry. So EGIAs is powered by the EGI Federation. This is a federation that covers most of Europe, and we also collaborate with the rest of the world. You can see there in the map where the different data centers are located in all the world. That's the high throughput compute data centers, which is one of the flavors that we offer. And we also have a smaller set of cloud compute data centers, mostly in Europe. We have 27 of those, when we are expanding also to the rest of the world. And that's the infrastructure that will host your applications if you come to run things on EGI. EGI, as I said, is a federation. We have 27 participants covering most of Europe, and over the last years, we have delivered quite a substantial number of CPU hours for supporting the different use cases, and we support more than 75,000 users. So when it comes to EIAs and what we deliver for the users, we have quite a wide range of things. I just put here in a screenshot of the European Open Science Cloud Marketplace catalog and just filter by EGIAs, and you can see we have 37 entries in there. So we cover quite a lot of things, and I will try to explain you a bit what all these entries are all about. And I will use the architecture diagram that we have from ENES to help me doing that. So we have mostly 4 big categories of services. The lower one, this one, the federated resources, will be the CPU, storage, GPU, this kind of baseline computing resources where you do the actual computation, and that's where most of the budget and the services are available. So basically allowing you to run your workloads distributed all across Europe. Then we have a second layer, which is what we call the federated access, which are tools that make it possible to use the underlying distributed resources in a homogeneous or as homogeneous as possible way. And here we have tools to share the same identity across all the services, tools to move computing around, and tools to move data around. And on top of that, we have what we call the platforms. These are generic added value platforms services, which are notebooks or tools for doing artificial intelligence training, or to do automated deployment of computing clusters. And last but not least, we have what we call the data spaces and analytics, which are thematic services focusing on a given discipline, on a given scientific community. And normally they are quite easy to use, quite user-friendly, just delivering the functionality that the end user, the scientist, needs. I will try to just highlight some things on each of the layers. So for the federated resources, just to say, we have 27 cloud providers. 15 of those are funded in the project, and more than 200 HTC providers. One of them is funded at the project. So if you are looking for any kind of infrastructure as a service for running VMs or running containers in a distributed infrastructure, EIAs will be able to support that kind of need. In the Computing Data Federation, we have different services with different functionality. Just to give you an idea, we have things for making the software available where you need it, things for having host names for your VM, so you can use names instead of IPs. We have tools for moving the computing where you need to have it, so to start VMs or start jobs at the right place, and tools for moving data, so you can be sure that when you want to analyze that data, it's already there and you don't need to worry about anything else. And in the platforms, we have, it's kind of separate functionality. It's covering different aspects. The notebooks is Jupyter. DORAS is about creating clusters that are scalable and created on demand. The Indigo Pass is about orchestrating cloud workloads on top of different providers, and the Deep Platform as a Service is about automated training of machine learning and AI models on all of these resources. We are covering quite a lot of different use cases. In the project itself, we have 15 thematic services, which are quite mature, discipline-specific services covering lots of areas, so humanities, environmental science, energy and physical science, climate research, and health and medicine. We also had 7 early adopters covering other areas, but within the lifetime of the project, we have incorporated new use cases, 31 in concrete, that came through an open call, and here we can accommodate, again, lots of disciplines, and we are happy to accommodate any use case coming from the DIH, and looking very much forward to it. Just to give you 2 examples of how these people is using the EGI resources. The first one will be the ENES data space. This is about climate research, and what they do is basically they have lots of data sources distributed all across the world, and using the cloud compute service, the data hub service, they are able to create a single entry point where the data is collected and put together, where you can do analysis in a quite interactive and user-friendly way, thanks to using a Jupyter interface. So users, without caring about how the underlying infrastructure work, can just go there, log in, start analyzing their data using Python and accessing different data sources very easily, and all of that powered by EGIs. And another example, which is kind of generic for any discipline, is the notebooks. We believe this is a quite nice platform that anyone can use. This is an interactive, user-friendly, browser-based platform where you can, using Python or other languages, just perform computations. It's integrated with other parts of the EGI's infrastructure, with Data Hub to share data, but also with other services, for example, or B2Drop from DICE, so you can access data from different infrastructures seamlessly. It also integrates a bit with Zenodo and B2Share, so you can discover via OpenAIRE Explore those notebooks that will work on the EGI service. And we also provide a way to reproduce environments with binders, so you can discover new research and run it and reproduce it in a quite robust way, because the computing environment will be recreated for you. That was basically me. Again, we are happy to take new use cases. We are open through the EIA's open call, through this DIH call that has just started, and we are also available in the EOS marketplace. Thank you.
Thank you, Anol, for your presentation. Now let's move to C-Scale project. And in this case, we will have Charis Chatis-Kriakou, that is the project coordinator of C-Scale, and she works as a project manager at EODC. So, yes.
Can you please let me know if you see the right thing?
Yes.
You do, okay. So thank you for the introduction, Elisa, and for the invitation to talk about C-Scale in the Data Week.
One moment, one thing, Charis, we are seeing also the notes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Is it better now?
Yes, now it's in full screen, yes.
Okay, thank you. And apologies for this. So a short introduction to the C-Scale project. The idea of the C-Scale project came from the fact that although the European Copernicus program offers us with big volumes of EO data on a daily basis, there is no single processing backend in Europe that can serve all these datasets in an integrated way. Therefore, we wanted to federate data and computing infrastructures for Copernicus and enhance the EOS portal through offering it through its marketplace. The project is one of the 07, the Infra-EOSC 07 projects, as my colleagues mentioned earlier, for their project. It will end in June 2023. Its consortium consists of 11 partners with a pan-European coverage, as you can see in this map in the upper right corner. And its specific objectives have to do with federating the Copernicus resources with EOSC computing and storage providers, as we mentioned earlier, and therefore scaling up the portal, the EOSC portal. In addition to that, we aim to pilot a Sentinel long-term archive in EOSC. And this federation, we want to achieve it through a co-design mechanism with relevant scientific communities across Europe. I will come to this later in the presentation. The services, a few words about the services that we are developing. The first one is the C-Scale Compute and Data Federation, which provides a uniform access to a federation of computing and data providers to execute Copernicus and Earth observation workloads. This consists of the cloud part, the Cloud Federation, and the HTC and HPC Federation, and also provides the opportunity to directly connect to the data archives, therefore bring the data to the computing, and also to use interactive environments such as the OpenAIRE platform. And this brings me to the second service, which is the OpenAIRE platform funded by ESA. This is a project that runs parallel to C-Scale, but is well integrated in C-Scale as well. It is a versatile cloud-based processing and analytics environment for Earth observation data on infrastructures that support the OpenAIRE API. These two services are planned to be onboarded on the EOSC portal after June, around June 2022. And then I would like to talk about our metadata query service, which was developed for the discovery of the Copernicus data. It enables a one-step discovery of the data across the C-Scale Data Federation and across Europe. And by that, we mean that we have the goal to onboard further data providers, actually both in our compute and in our data federation, and therefore to expand the federation. We expect this service to be on EOSC around September. And last but not least, we have the workflow solutions, which is a set of solutions developed from our use cases. They enable the easy deployment of these workflows that support monitoring and forecasting of the Earth system. Other use cases are still running and are still developing their workflows. We expect the service to be onboarded a bit later. Just an idea about our use cases so that you know which communities we cooperate with, more or less. Oh, and to mention again that we develop these services in close cooperation with the users. They provide, we have the C-Scale community, which enables a constant feedback loop between the providers and the users. We try to always test the usability and identify the gaps in order to create functional design. The project started with 6 internal use cases, and later on we acquired 5 external use cases through our open call, likewise the other projects. For example, starting with the Aqua Monitor, where you can see in the pictures here, it enables the mapping of surface water changes globally. The Water Watch for the quantification of water resources, the high-resolution Copernicus-based information services at sea for ports and aquaculture, the high-resolution land surface drought analysis. You can see here some of the results already. The return use case for the monitoring of tropical forests recovery capacity, and the wetland water stresses for the impact of water stress on wetland areas. If you're interested in piloting a new federated infrastructure for Copernicus and Earth observation data, you're very welcome to submit your application through the second expression of interest for business pilots. The C-Scale offering includes storage, cloud CPUs, HTC and HPC CPU hours, and GPU hours, the amount of which is mentioned here. And you can, of course, reach us through our channels that you can see here. Yeah, I think that's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Taris, for everything.
And I can already stop sharing if I find the button. Thank you.
Okay, now let's move to Reliance, Research Enabling Services for EOSC in support of open science. And the speaker will be Raul Palma. Raul Palma is the head of the Data Analytics and Semantics Department at PSNC and is the coordinator of the Reliance project. So, Raul.
Yes, hi. Thank you for the introduction, Elisa. You see my screen correctly, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, yeah, so as it was mentioned at the beginning, so Reliance is also one of the InfraEOS 07 projects. Our focus is on providing research enabling services in EOSC in support of fair and open science, basically. Just in a very high level picture of the project, what we are trying to do is to extend the capabilities of EOSC in support of research activities via a set of interconnected services that are in alignment with the EOSC interoperability framework. We are aiming to enhance, of course, the discovery and access to research data, particularly Earth observation data coming from Copernicus, but also to improve the extraction of relevant information while managing the research life cycle following the fair and open science principles. We are demonstrating our services in 3 Earth science communities, and we are engaging others via an open call that we are now open, but also now with DIH as well, hopefully, in order to foster the use of Copernicus data and support of multidisciplinary research in Europe. We are 9 partners in the project, and this is coordinated by PSNC. From the user perspective, I mean, what are you going to get with the services of Reliance? Basically, you will be able to continue to doing your research as usual, your work as usual, but now being able to access larger data sets, including Earth observation data from different heterogeneous sources, sharing your results more easily, and do open science by default. So this is like our main vision, let's say, from the user perspective. So that means that you will be able to do your research, your campaigns, your missions more efficiently, have access to all the resources via a single entry point, exchange information more efficiently, and addressing some of the challenges in the scientific areas, for example, that researchers need to work together in a multidisciplinary way, be able to access and share data, training new people, finding resources that are available already instead of starting from scratch, all of those kind of problems. So in order to do that, we are bringing these services into EOSC. The first one is the research objects. These are the mechanism that we are using to manage the scientific activities and to connect resources related to a particular research or investigation. The technologies behind this are ArrowCrate. This is like the specification for description of research objects, and RoHub is the main platform or tool for the management of research objects. We have also data cubes for efficient and scalable access to Earth observation data, and the technology behind is the Adam platform. And we have also text mining services to extract machine-readable metadata from different resources, textual resources particularly, and this comes from AI technologies from one of our partners as well in the consortium. These services are all integrated into EOSC. They are onboarded, they are available in the marketplace already. But most important is how these services are also connecting to existing services in EOSC. For example, we connect to AI infrastructure in EOSC, so EGI check-in to use the same user accounts to connect to different services in EOSC. We connect to Zenodo and B2Share to publish research object snapshot and releases. We are connected to EGI notebooks to directly open the notebooks from the research objects, B2Drop to allow also the storage of resources in the research objects in your own space in B2Drop, and also the knowledge graph in OpenAIRE so that research objects are findable via the EOSC Explorer. So this is an example scenario. I will go very quickly. Imagine that scientists that wants to do some kind of research and she wants to find some existing work on this area. So she goes to the EOSC Explorer, where she can find in the catalog different types of results, and she finds one executable research object that she can open, finds, analyze, browse in the platform. This is in RoHub. But then from there, she can actually click on the notebooks, which are inside the research objects, and open directly and go directly to the EGI notebooks, where she will be able to execute all the calculations, all the analysis, save the results back into EGI Data Hub. And based on that, she will start creating like a derivative work, a new research object based on the existing one. So this will, of course, make all of this citation workflow happening. And this new research object will already become part of the EOSC Explorer as well. She can, of course, collaborate with different colleagues around the globe. We can get notifications when something has changed. And before publishing, she can make, for example, an assessment of the fairness and the quality of the research object so that everything is aligned with expectations. And at the end, she can publish a release, for example, in Zenodo. So basically, with all of these, what we can see is that the services in Reliance, what we want to do is to have a complementarity role in EOS, to connect existing services that are used to create, generate, and consume resources, including data that is provided by the researchers and other providers, to the methods that are applied to process and analyze the data, to the research infrastructure that are used to run all of those methods and to host this data, to the publications that are derived from this work. And of course, this can come from services coming from different services in EOS, but also beyond. So, you know, from many different services, and all in alignment with the fair and open science principle. So quickly about our communities, we have three main communities: the marine scientists working on the present and past dynamics of the ocean and the interface between ocean and atmosphere. We have scientists from geohazard that are working on the volcanic and seismic risks and assessments. And we have also scientists from the atmospheric community that are developing numerical and meteorological ocean and climate models. So they are, of course, making some kind of showcases via multidisciplinary use cases, but also vertical thematic use cases that will showcase Reliance services in support of scientists in earth science. But it's important to mention that the services may be easily adopted in other domains and sectors. How are you able to use the services? So we have a website with all this information for early adopters. So there is a lot of training materials, including a lot of info videos, animations, that gives you some introduction to the services, but also the links to the documentations, tutorials, etc. And we have the open call that is accessible as well from there. And we are hoping also to get some expression of interest via the DIH pilots that we are discussing today. And that's from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Raul, for your presentation. And now the last project that we're going to present here is OpenAIRE Nexus, Scholarly Communication Services for EOSC users, driven by open science and towards fair data innovative economy. And it's going to be presented by Androniki Pavlidou, that is Service Portfolio Manager at OpenAIRE.
Yes, hello. Can you see the right screen, the full screen, or you see the preview, the small one?
The preview, we are seeing the preview.
Okay, give me a second. Swap it. Okay, now you see the right one.
Yes.
Okay, so Nexus is an infra EOS project which is funded. I skipped the first one. So what it is, it started in January 2021. It's a 30-month duration. It has a selection of 13 open science services. And who are the services for? So apart from the research community, which is, okay, obvious, the services are also for SMEs, startups, spin-offs, funders, policymakers. We are 11 partners, and you can see the website is the main web OpenAIRE portal, openaire.eu. An overview of the services. So I mentioned all this. I will just give you the names, and then I will go and present you a selection of some of them that are highly requested when it comes to SMEs. So we have the OpenAIRE Research Graph, Open Citations, Argos, OpenAPC, Open Science Observatory, OpenAIRE Connect, Zenodo, OpenAIRE Monitor, OpenAIRE Usage Counts, EpiSciences, Amnesia, OpenAIRE Provide, and School Explorer. Which are the main characteristics? So if you ask me, okay, why should I care? Because these services are open, they are fair, and they are EOSC interoperable. So what you heard before from the previous speakers, it means that we connect our services to each other. So in the near future, when you use one, you can use another one, and you can combine something from another one. There's a nice infographic about the services, which is at this link I have in the slide, which we can provide, of course, later. At the core of the system, it's the graph. Why the graph? Because the graph is the aggregator, is the core element of OpenAIRE that collects information from services and from data sources, metadata relationships, and then it deduplicates that information. So out of the ocean of information, you get deduplication. So you know that the information is cleared, is also enriched, because maybe there are two records and combined. So you want to know exactly what is the latest and, of course, trustable information. And then you get a post-cleaning process, and that information passes to our services, for example, OpenAIRE Monitor, the Explorer, and also passes to any third party or an SME that wants to use that specific information. So in numbers, yes, OpenAIRE Research Graph is huge. So if I try to describe it here, is a collection of metadata describing objects in the research lifecycle and relationships among them. How you can access it? With an API, which has limitations, be careful, and with a downloadable dump, which is available on Zenodo community. So in numbers, what you get is 138 millions of publications, millions, and this number grows, of course, and 15 millions of research data and other research products 6.5. And to give you an idea, only the OpenAIRE School Explorer reached a milestone of 640 million API requests from users, from companies, from communities, from other services. And now how I describe you what is the graph. So how that information comes into the graph? Through the OpenAIRE Provide. So there are the content providers that bring that information and which interacts with the whole process inside the graph and with our services. So let's call it like, it's the easy way where there's a nice front end that brings that information and connects with the back end. Provide is free. You can register and you can use it. And there are two important sub-services here. So the OpenAIRE Broker and the OpenAIRE Validator. What do they do? Why do they matter? Because the validator will analyze your data, your information, your metadata, and say, you are compatible with the OpenAIRE Research Graph, or maybe you're not compatible because you are missing some important information. So fix it and come back. And there is also this fair assessment tool through the validator. And the broker, what it does, it checks your metadata information and it enriches. You saw the step with the enrichment of metadata. And what it also does, it sends you a notification where you know, oh, we found something new, here it is. And what a company did, you will see later in the past, is they created a data correction service to enrich the local metadata for these page repositories. Where do you find this? Provide OpenAIRE.eu. Explore. Explore is the main search portal for open access scholarly works globally. So an idea is that it's accessible via the API. We had more than 50 million requests. And the latest information is we included the SDGs, the Sustainability Development Goals, and the field of science filtering. So you can use extra filters. And of course, it's open and it's free for everyone through explore OpenAIRE.eu. And this is a billionaire service. I call it like this, because it's the open citation. So open citations brings you the collection of citations links. So now it reaches more than 1 billion citation links, and it has 29 million API requests. And this is delivered, of course, from many resources, as you can see here, accessible again via API, and you can find it on opencitations.net. Amnesia is another service that is very common. The companies request it a lot because it's about data anonymization. So you follow what GDPR wants you to do. You don't pseudo-anonymize, you anonymize. And it's where, as we say, personal data becomes statistical data. And it's available for security, and to be very, very precise, You can use it only for training or demo purposes online, but we highly advise you, and this is our purpose, to download it. And then a number that shows this kind of big traction with Amnesia, 34K unique visitors we had the last 15 months. Argos and amnesia.openair.eu, of course, is the website to find it. Argos is the data management plans tool. Of course, it promotes the fair. It complies with funders. What it allows you to do, to co-edit and create machine and human readable and shareable, of course, data management plans. It's available in 8 languages, can be used as a cloud service, or you can ask to deploy locally, or you can ask us to set up it on demand. We do it for you. So Argos OpenAIRE.eu is another website where you find Argos. I highly advise you to go to the catalog of OpenAIRE.eu, because it's the place where we kind of recently updated lots of information, and we added the benefits of the services, the features, more legal information, all the supporting material that accompany a service. We also have more select a plan pricing information, and we will kind of enrich it in the next 15 months with more material, more information, more things you want to know, and of course with related services information. So it's very easy to use. Go there. Now I wanted to show you, if you ask me, have you done it before? Have you cooperated with SMEs before? Yes. So I selected 3 cases to show you. One is with the company named For Science in Italy. So what they created during the OpenAIRE Advanced project and the Open Innovation Call, they created, and their code is in GitHub, a service for DSpace or DSpace Greece 7 installation service that it connects with the graph. So they requested the graph, the broker, and sometimes companies don't see where is the value in these kind of things. The value is for the company that they offer to their community extra tools and to save time, to make it better, to improve their services. And yes, there is revenue also in these kind of things. I found a nice graph from a website that shows that, for example, 38% of the companies that use DSpace, they have a revenue more than 1,000 million. Amazing. Another use case is Ingradio. Ingradio was another company that had already a mobile app. So what they did, you could scan with your camera from your mobile the label on a shampoo, on food, everything, and they will give you back information if it's hazardous, if there's something you should take, be careful. And what we did with them, they wanted to have this extra value from science, from open science, to have this scientific value to say to their users, you know what? This is what we did, what we found, and here is the proof. Science is the proof. So they enhanced their mobile app, which is really available on Google Play and Apple Store. You can try it. The service they requested was the OpenAIRE Research Graph, and their market, as you can see, is many billions. I marked the numbers. The last one is the Open Science Lens. You will hear it also later, so I'm not going to go into details. They requested the OpenAIRE Research Graph and Explore. And of course, if you ask them what's the market, of course, infinite. You can create so many things. Just use your imagination and your experience and what the users need. So the open access market is huge, as you can see, and there are opportunities for many companies, SMEs, startups. So what have we done now? With the EOSC Future that we participate as an infra EOSC project, we are very active on the EOSC Digital Innovation Hub, and we really thank for the opportunity. We had 9 OpenAIRE Nexus services that were requested 17 times by 6 SMEs. And what we did also, we provided feedback with one-to-one calls with these SMEs. And when we found that, okay, there is a match here, you can use our service plus another service from another infra EOSC partner, go ahead, combine them, use them. This is the secret sauce right now. And to give you an idea about sustainability, it proves that 4 out of 6 applicants and their services are a continuation of the OpenAIRE Advanced Open Innovation Call activities, which means SMEs had a good experience, they found trust, they found value, and they come back. And we are really welcome this. And to close, what we do, so when you apply for the EOSC DIH and you select, I need to use that OpenAIRE Nexus service, what do we do for you? What do you expect? So we will bring you into contact once you are approved with our service managers. Also, you can have access, of course, to all our material, and you can participate actively. And we also do bi-weekly one-to-one calls to see how is it going. Are you satisfied? Any gaps? Any questions? Something. Also, we disseminate your outcomes via events, conferences. Of course, we want to publish blog posts and let the world know. And we diffuse the information and all the innovations through our communication channels. And the last one, I want to mention also, again, the sustainability. So we try to engage with SMEs, create this, the culture of working together, get to know each other. And also we explore for more business opportunities, and we examine more, how to enhance the solutions. We have one, let's see if we can do the second, the third in the next future. So thank you very much for your time. This is my email. Feel free to send me anything, Thank you very much.
Thank you, Androniki, for your energy presenting OpenAIRE Nexus. So we have finished now the introduction to the 5 projects that offer technical services into the EOSC, and now it's turn for a practical vision of the EOSC DIH and to know more details about the next pilot campaign. So the speaker now is going to be Martin Plosenik. Martin, he's head of the IoT department in PSNC, and he's leading the business pilot within the EOSC DIH under the EOSC Future project. So Martin?
Okay, thank you for this opportunity. So we come back basically to EOSC DIH and how from practical perspective we can support companies. So basically we have already experience on managing the pilots in the context of several also previous project initiatives, and in particular EOSC Hub project where the EOSC DIH has been created. So in total, so far we supported 27 pilots, where 9 are ongoing in terms of EOSC Future projects. So what we provide is we manage the pilots from onboarding up to whole user success stories and the commercialization process, and up to pre-commercial kind of activities. So basically, in terms of EOSC Future, this is the kind of mutual value exchange. So we don't provide direct funding, and so we see that the main target currently that we work with are startups, SMEs, but this is not limited. And our role usually is to support and provide, in collaboration with our partners, the technical support for the services across EOSC and its projects. Also provide the resources for testing purposes. We offer a lot of the expertise and support, consultancy. We also help in promoting results, and there are a lot of periodic campaigns to entice new pilots. So basically, we also provide a lot of the networking, and so the value for basically for commercial partners, as we see, is to validate usefulness of the EOSC services, to work with us to co-create new products and services, and also develop innovative solutions on top of provided EOSC services and data. So for the current business pilots, some of them will present in a moment, so I will not go into details. We have already from the EOSC Future project 2 success stories, that is the DigiFarm and Big Code Track. And as you could see here, these pilots are close collaboration with other initiatives and projects as the result of this collaboration. And we could see here names of the project, logos of the projects that has just been presenting. So just to mention, the pilots are Trango Trip and Go, Mikado, DigiFarm that will be presenting, Big Cold Track. Also, the first expression of interest resulted in five pilots. Next five pilots where they were using a variety of the services. In a moment, we will have the presentation from basically from the site. And also the Force Science was just presented by Androniki. We have also another three interesting cases. One is from Inteligo. It's about the energy sector, and also OEPAP. It's again on the usage of OpenAIRE Nexus services mainly. Okay, so just to summarize type of support we provide, this is basically a mix between the resources, and these are different kinds of resources like computing, storage. It is providing technological consultancy and expertise. It is the co-design using one or more EOSC services, and supporting co-development with other projects, and also sometimes it's evaluation and usability of EOSC services in a commercial context. Also, just to give you an idea, what are the most requested expertise towards us? These are the expertise around machine learning, deep learning, AI, security, authentication, authorization, big data technologies, and also sometimes these there are very domain specific requests like around agriculture and around geosciences. I would like just to announce that we have the second expression of interest that is published just now. And what we are looking for are the pilots in different areas that are mentioned here, just an examples. And we look for example, for use of research data, some kind of data analytics, image recognitions, tools to improve sustainability and energy efficiency, for example, and many others. This is just to give an example and domains that we are looking for, but this is not limited to. So what we actually offer is the access to e-infrastructure and technical services, the help in prototyping, creating architecture, sometimes scaling up, designing, verification of performance. Also, we give ability to build partnership with other SMEs, industry stakeholders. Also, we provide different kind of business coaching, training, and basically what is very important, there's no cash funding, and through this AI, we will also support industry applicants wishing to onboard the service and content providers for the to become service and content providers for the EOSC community. Who can apply are startups, spin-off SMEs, and so that should run one of the following use cases that are mentioned here. So like pilots, proof of service, integration of technical services, and they can also develop solutions using different EOSC DIH services that are available also through collaboration with the partners. So it's very easy to submit applications. There is very easy form that is described here. It's very short, and it's very, I would say, trivial. So again, we thank for collaboration with our partners that has just presented their services. So this call is with collaboration with all those partners. And I would like to announce shortly there will be a webinar June 15 at 11, and you could register already to this webinar to hear more. And thank you. That's it from my side.
Thank you very much, Martin. And now it's the time to move to the demos. We're going to present two demos of the business pilots that one of them ran in the past and is already finished, and the second one is currently running the pilot with us. So first, let's introduce a DigiFarm pilot, and in this case, the speaker is going to be Niels. Niels Heset is the founder of DigiFarm and currently serves as its CEO. So Niels, when you want.
Thank you so much, Elisa. Thanks for the introduction, and thanks to Marcin as well for organizing. So I'll share my screen and I'll go through quickly. So based on who we are and then a little bit about the project. But I'm Niels, as Elisa mentioned. I'm one of the co-founders and CEOs of DigiFarm. We're an ag tech startup based in Norway. We started this project back in the beginning of 2019, and I'm also a farmer and 15th generation crop producer. So it's nice for me to be on the technology side of this. But we work in a very specific or core area of agriculture, and it's field boundaries. So detecting accurate field boundaries. And for farmers' perspective, boundaries is the basis for most of your field actions, whether that's variable seeding, fertilizing, crop protection, yield prediction, soil sampling, declaring subsidies, etc. It's all based on this data set. And the way it is currently is that we're farmers, even myself, when I declare my subsidies, I draw these boundaries in different digital platforms. So we still manually define boundaries. And of course, over time, this becomes outdated and inaccurate. So here's just an example of some LPS data that's in Germany, but this is most of the kind of current status quo of cadastral data. And of course, it's difficult to update it every year and to do it so efficiently because there's just so many boundaries in the EU. There's close to 36 million of them. And so what we do is we take high resolution satellite data, and then we develop these deep neural network models that's able to automatically detect field boundaries and seeded acres from the current season. So for example, the blue is the cadastral data, of course, an example of it. And then you see the white lines, which is our model that's detecting boundaries automatically. And I won't spend much time on this, but boundaries matter to everyone. It's not just farmers. It's autonomy and robotics, with machinery being autonomous in the field. They need to make sure they're not hitting telephone poles or wet spots and creeks, etc. And of course, more monitoring now, or more focus on monitoring, reporting, and verification with crop insurance and subsidies is becoming more important. And grain processing storage, where we're having different climatic kind of seasons for crop production. We're seeing that it's hard for these also silos to be able to estimate how much they're getting in. So of course, it's the boundaries is the key, as well as seeded acres to be able to run yield forecasting and run the logistical planning for that. And the last one is just wholesale and retail. So with traceability, sustainability, carbon mapping, etc., these new trends is certainly much more reliant on boundaries as the baseline for that data that's running analysis on. And I just brought out a simple use case, but this is one that we work quite a bit. So, for subsidy and national paying agencies, boundaries are declared manually by the farmers every year if there's changes to the boundaries and the crops, of course. And then, in the world, there's a big amount of subsidies that relies on this manual training or manually delineated boundaries. And right now in the EU, we're seeing that anywhere from 5 to 10% are being verified. That means that the local or regional paying agencies drive out to the field, check the subsidy declared in terms of seeded acres, crops, etc. And this is costing the EU a lot of money, of course. So we have, this is a big part of our job, to be able to create a system where they can automate more of these controls and also verify a lot of the bigger percentage of the subsidies. And in terms of this project, what the goal was to be able to delineate boundaries in Germany, Austria, Belgium, and the UK. And of course, this is, for us, we process Sentinel-2 data, super resolve it to 1 meter per pixel, and then pick dates, of course, and then run these model trainings based on training data. So of course, there's a lot of computing required in terms of being able to train these models efficiently and have an infrastructure that works in terms of being able to repeat this every year for different locations. But this is just an example that we managed to achieve very good accuracy. So an intersection union of 0.94 and above, which we saw anywhere from 10–12% difference in the benchmarking we did with cadastral data. And here's just some quick numbers, but you'll see these are screenshots from the different areas that we did. Of course, England on the bottom left here, and I'm happy to share these links as well after the meeting. But the baseline is that for us, training data is certainly very important. So for us to be able to train models again for different regions to delineate boundaries well. So we spent a lot of time on that as well, of course, since different regions have different complexities in them. And then the impact of this project really for us is, we don't have a very long history, but we started at the end of 2018 and also started as an R&D project here in Norway with our R&D partners, University of Life Sciences and the Norwegian Agricultural Advisory Organization. And then we've kind of developed along the road and just through this program, we managed to also secure now the EOSC Accelerator from the European Innovation Council, where we closed 6 million euros, where a blended financing. So it's also helped us tremendously in terms of reaching the kind of next milestone for us, where we go into more of a commercial, well, still developing technology, of course, but going into also a slightly more commercial setting. And in terms of the teams, there's 25 of us, and I'm the only farmer, but so mostly it's technical. But we managed to kind of build a good team around this, and we grew from 14 to 25 also during this project. And a big component for us is, we need computing power, and it's certainly expensive commercially. And for us, we're also a technical team, but we don't have a lot of expertise when it comes to building these kind of infrastructures or framework for being able to know how to train models correctly and have an optimized automated processing pipeline to have an efficiently working model, as well as a commercially affordable for us. So this was extremely helpful to be able to get the consultancy services, and of course having the team, the entire EOSC team in terms of Lisa and Marcin and Sai has just been tremendous in terms of being able to help us through this journey. So it's been a wonderful experience for us. So thank you again.
Thank you, Niels, for sharing this information with us and with all the Data Week community. Now let's move to the next pilot. So in this case, we have the pilot Open Science Lens, and the speaker is Georgios Papanikos. Georgios is senior software engineer, and currently he holds the position of CTO in SITE. So.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you for your attention in this part of the session for the Open Science Lens pilot project, aiming to bring information residing in OpenAIRE data infrastructure within the reach of scientists and general public alike, easily accessible and close to their everyday web browsing. My name is Georgios Papanikos, and I will try to present in the next quick 10 minutes the work done in Open Science Lens and the opportunities we're targeting through the EOSC Digital Innovation Hub. So first, a few quick words about who we are. I'm the CTO at SITE, and my role in Open Science Lens was that of the project manager, project designed by our Chief Research and Innovation Officer, George Kakaletris. So SITE is an SME. It has been established in Athens, Greece in 2007, and we're currently employing over 30 software engineers. We've been active advocates of open science, participating in EOSC and RDA working groups, technically leading the ENES project, contributing to OpenAIRE services, and FOSS contributor in several projects and systems. With respect to commercial activities, we're active in a wide range of domains and business sectors, which I will not go into detail now to save time for what we are here to present and discuss, which is the Open Science Lens. So what Open Science Lens aims to deliver is a set of instruments that will allow scientists, researchers, and the general public to easily locate and explore information relevant to open science while navigating the web. So we started with 3 targets in mind: unleashing the information already available in OpenAIRE, data infrastructure and surrounding services, promote open science, bringing it closer to the public, and build up a sustainable business perspective. The key points to deliver that vision was to reuse and provide value-adding services over existing access to the OpenAIRE research graph, base our solution to portable technologies to efficiently tap into multiple browser platforms and content providers, and require minimal investment from end users and site administrators alike, and of course start small as validation, but then scale as needed. So through our engagement with EOSC DIH and the resources made available, we want to focus on three main areas. Firstly, further explore the business sustainability of our work, deepen our integration usage of the available OpenAIRE services, and explore, validate, and find a test bed for the scaling needs that we envision to have. So how did we approach that vision? We took a dual approach, a client and a service-based one. The client-based approach would target end users directly. The server-based one would primarily target content providers and indirectly their end users. Both approaches share a common goal, which is to dig up information relevant to open science on demand while the user is browsing, be it for research projects, grants, publication, or any other artifacts. The client-based approach is facilitated by a browser extension, which requires no investment from content providers, but it does require the end user to take the initiative and install a browser plugin. The server-based approach, on the other hand, is served by a small JavaScript library on the content provider page. It requires no action from the site visitor, but may require some minimum or optionally extended configuration action from the page owner, creating a much richer experience, which feels like a site embedded feature. Let's take a quick look to the client-based approach, which is the Open Science Lens browser extension. It has been made available to the Chrome store for a year now, and very recently it was also available in the Edge store. We had users from over 70 countries around the globe, most active of which are in the two sides of the Atlantic. Over 700 unique user downloads, close to 600 active weekly users, and on average, over 170 daily impressions in the store in the past 30 days. As we said, the extension targets end users directly, so researchers and general public, bringing the open science benefits closer to their everyday browsing. While navigating the web, the extension will scan through the page, searching for persistent identifiers, retrieve information, and present them with context, within the context of the page, or search highlighted text in OpenAIRE for relevant research artifacts. There are plans to extend the available functionality, but that is for another presentation. We would love it if you find this interesting, useful, and something you would want to try out for yourself. So please download, and of course, we would appreciate and value any feedback we can receive from this. On the other side of the spectrum, we have the server-based approach. The science-based enhancer primarily targets research infrastructures and content providers and their respective repository manager and publishers. And it aims to enrich what they offer. Out of the box, it offers the site visitors parity with Open Science Lens browser extension, but without the user actually needing to install anything on their browser. The site administrator can enrich the visitor experience by either a low-code approach, where adding a small custom markup in the HTML, they directly enhance or additional functionality, or a no-code approach in which using external configuration through an Open Science Lens configuration builder, which we offer, patterns and selectors are defined to expand the value offered to the end user. And of course, combination of the two approaches can also be used. The functionality is currently available, but it's greatly evolving at this time while we're doing integrations with two content provider sites. Now, for a bird's eye view behind the scenes to see the high-level flows and components, the OpenAIRE API and research graph are the underpinning services the Open Science Lens depends on. Our web API takes it upon its functionality to serve the client-facing application with aggregated, transformed, and enriched data that it draws from the research graph. The browser extension and the science-based enhancer handle the integration and visualization aspects, while our administrative web application handles content provided registration and configuration building. Finally, the data layer manages primarily operational and cast data to improve response times and track performance statistics. And the EGI resources provided through the DIH host our server-side components and the data layer. It has been mentioned already that the underpinning service we get our knowledge from is the OpenAIRE research graph through the public API. The value-adding services, integrations, visualization that the Open Science Lens brings base their value on the wealth of data this services offer, with over 160 million curated, disambiguated, and modeled artifacts for us to utilize, as Androniki explained very vividly before. EGI and the DAISY provider has created a VO for us to host the resources and the infrastructure we need for our pilot. And using the OpenStack project created and the infrastructure manager EOSC service, we have created a 6-node elastic Kubernetes cluster that manages and orchestrates our workloads. While the technical consultancy we received in the process was exactly what we needed to get things up and running for this setup. So it was mentioned before by some of the speakers that if you use one service, then it's easy to use the other. We can definitely validate that. So now within the context of our EOSC Digital Innovation Hub pilot project, our objectives are to explore how we can support high traffic usage, profile the performance and testbed the requirements based on various synthetic workloads that we define, strengthen our integration with the OpenAIRE Research Graph API, and tap into the technical consultancy service offered by the EOSC service providers. And at the end of the day, we want to explore the potential of offering Open Science Lens as an EOSC service. So throughout our 9-month timeline, we have our hands full, but we are already making good progress. We have identified solutions to various integration hiccups. We have integrated with OpenAIRE Login, contributed to enriching the OpenAIRE public API with additional query endpoints, and thanks to the OpenAIRE team's kind implementation. Working together with content providers that will pilot the Science Page Enhancer integration, namely the EpiScience repository. Acquired resources for our VO from DAISY, use the infrastructure manager service, deploying an elastic Kubernetes cluster. We have deployed the base enabling service for Open Science Lens service, and now we're continuing in 2 fronts. We're integrating the enhancer to the selected content providers, and we're building up the testbed for our scaling and performance profiling. And all this with the kind and helpful support from all the members of the EOSC DIH partners, which I would like to take the opportunity to thank from this stage too. And this is it from us. Once again, thank you for your attention, and apologies for the speed by which we had to cover some of the ground or fail to do so. I will be very happy to answer any questions in the Q&A time. Thank you.
Thank you, Georgios. Thank you very much. So now it's time for the panel. Martin, I'm going to share my screen, and now you can you can see it.
Okay. Now I would just to remind again that you can still post your questions if you have, and this will be forwarded to us, and we'll try to address those questions later still today. So now we move to the panel that is between EOSC DIH, EU Hubs for Data, and centralice AI. And here we have 3 speakers, and I would like to introduce. So we have already Elisa that she already was introduced before. She's a senior strategy and innovation officer and business development manager at EGI Federation, and she is the coordinator of the EOSC DIH under the EOSC Future project. We have here also Gabriel Gonzalez Castañe. He is the Senior Research Coordinator, University College of Cork. He is the Technical Coordinator of STER AI project. And we also have Daniel, the iSpaces group of the Big Data Value Association, and also the coordinator of the H2020 project, EU Hubs for Data, that is aiming at creating an European Federation on data-driven innovation hubs. So it's my pleasure to welcome you here on this panel. And I think Elisa in a moment will set up this scene a bit, but there are 2 main questions that we'll try to answer during this panel. How to share the technical assets and knowledge between these different kind of initiatives, and how we can benefit from each other experiences with SMEs. In a moment, we will also introduce these other initiatives so you could have a better context. But I will invite now Elisa to give a few introductory thoughts.
Okay, thank you very much. So first, I'm going to talk about what is the next actions that we have in mind for the EOSC DIH, and what we expect in the collaborations with these other initiatives that we consider that is a key path to follow in the near future. So first, as EOSC DIH related to EOSC, we need to define or align our strategy with the EOSC strategy. The EOSC right now is focused on offering multiple services to the research community, but in their roadmap for the upcoming years, there is also the challenge and the goal of increasing or reaching a wider audience involving the public sector and private entities. This means that in the near future there will be more actions on onboarding companies into the EOSC, and the EOSC DIH has already this experience working with companies. We have already established different mechanisms for onboarding. We have a community created, and in this sense, we need to get this type of alignment. Also, next actions are focused on creating new partnerships with other new EOSC projects to get their business-oriented services included also in the EOSC DIH service offer, in the same way that we did with the 5 projects that you have seen before. So this is also part of the main challenges that we have. And finally, we need to work on the sustainability plan, defining how is going to be the future of the EOSC DIH in terms also of the sustainability of the different services, even identifying potential business model for some of the business-oriented services that we offer. But right now, we want to focus also on the collaboration with the EU hubs for data. And with the European AI on Demand platform, and in this case, we want to explore a type of partnership for increasing this collaboration, and that's why we are created this panel, this discussion about how to create a corridor between the 3 main initiatives. So just to set the scene, let's say that the EOSC DIH is the main interface for the European Open Science Cloud, and this means the EOSC in general, we could say that as the main added value in the context of this collaboration could be the compute capacity, the data management tools, and the research data that they have. And it involves different type of projects around where, again, the EOSC DIH is the main interface. In the EU Hubs for Data, that is the European Federation of Data-Driven Innovation Hubs, is the main interface with the BDVA, the Big Data Value Association. And the main added value could be the data-driven DIHs and the BDVA spaces. So this means a more experimental and close to market community and environment that could offer also to this collaboration. And finally, the Starway project, that is the main interface with the AI for EU community or AI on demand, and with the main added value of providing multiple AI assets and a growing AI community. And between these 3 initiatives in the center, we identify the common point, the industries and SMEs, and we establish this type of corridor around how we want to collaborate between initiatives, and we have some suggestions from the EOSC DIH. So at technical level, at level of the technical services that we offer, we would like to complement the services that that are covering in the different initiatives, and also explore business model around these services to be thinking also on being sustainable in the future. At training level, we identify also the potential of sharing training courses and materials specific on the different domains that we cover. We will need to check exactly where are these similarities, these complementarities in the capacities that we cover. At visibility and community level, of course, we suggest the joint participation in events, like, for example, this event we are doing now, or a type of mechanism for giving visibility to pilots with pilot prizes or similar, just to highlight those, the main achievements that we get it working with SME. And finally, where we found more possibilities of sharing the work that we are doing is at funding level, in the funding mechanism level, and we can suggest a type of second life program. A second life program could be something like offering the opportunity to those pilots that are not covered by the different open calls or campaigns in these initiatives, to be redirected in some way to the other initiatives, just to check if they can cover there or not. Also define joint experimental paths. This means that the same pilot could start working with one of the initiatives and later move from one to another, and we have already some experience on this. A company that started working with EU hubs for data and later moved to work or to keep on working with the support of EGI in the sense, and also of later apply for Stairway open course. So this is a type of scenario that we could consider and better define. And finally, sharing funding opportunities, of course, and the best practices on this type of management of calls. And just as a summary, this is like just a table of the summary of the actions that we suggest, and I'm just give the floor to Gabriel to wait for his comments. Thank you very much.
Thanks very much, Elisa, and thanks for inviting me here. So I'm going to share my screen for a couple of seconds because I think that it will be clearer for everyone. I hope that you can see my screen pretty soon, so you can, and I'm going to present a set of slides I will put in full mode. So I prepared a set of slides, and I'm using the template of A4U because Stairway project is part of the AI4U ecosystem. I think that this is pretty important for everybody to understand that A4U started initially being an initiative that of the Commission of 20 million euros to try to create a platform and ecosystem around that artificial intelligence that grew to different directions. So it grew with, so you can see initially in the right-hand side, it grew with a set of other projects, and I will show the ecosystem in the next slide. So the main idea is to construct a platform with services on AI, with services on trustworthy AI, on different focus to different stakeholders, focus to researchers, but also to build that arena. As you can see, the little robots, that path from all the AI research that is conducted into innovators, SMEs, developers, companies, industry, etc. So AI4U was designed to be that path for all of them to exploit, also with case studies, also with pilots in different directions. So one of the things that I think that is a common question is what happened after AI4U. So there were 6 ICTs 49 that was in between. Stairway is one of them that is focused on matchmaking. So it's for finding for low-tech SMEs and SMEs to allow them to find the path to experts, to AI assets that can, using different techniques of artificial intelligence that match better their decisions using natural language processing. So that's one of the projects, but there are others in space market, in the energy market, in the AI on edge. And it's important that also to remark that after October this year, it will be another 40 that will continue adding services that the Commission is funded to add more and to support this concept of the AI on demand. So AI4U will evolve as that AI on demand concept And it will be the umbrella to cover all the projects as EOSC is doing, I think, and you were showing before. So that's more or less the idea behind for the audience if they didn't know. So what is A4U position? So A4U is in this map that there is a lot of information. If you see the orange branch on one side, you see in the red circle, you see A4U. So A4U is positioned between the European networks of excellence on AI. So there are 4 networks and another 2 will be funded on security and robotics. So, and they are networks to construct, to foster the best research, the best high research that is on AI in Europe. And through AI4U is meant to be the platform providing services and assets and collecting all of that. And different projects in the right-hand side are exploitation paths, like a Starway for matchmaking, finding the right things, or for Copernicus for topics about aerospace. What we see here is that below is all the part also of this is more or less like you, Melissa, your position. So below we have this part of all the digital innovation hubs. Those are more close to low-tech SMEs, to SMEs, and there is a common path as well that we see that there is a lot of potential for SMEs to uptake artificial intelligence components and assets. However, is a path that is not so simple for many of them. So is how that integration is being done. And on the other part, of course, we have the part on top that is if we have the application layer and we have the data, we need the machinery. And in many directions, I think that in that case, the European Open Science Cloud is or might be supporting that in that direction. One of the things that I forgot to mention is that all the networks of excellence are working in a concept that is the AI Doctoral Academy, that is for PhDs mainly and courses to orient it to that student level, but that is being extended towards supporting also upskilling and training and different on different aspects about artificial intelligence and about artificial intelligence mainly. So this triangle that I plotted here, that is, I really like more your arrows, but I think that there is a triangle that somehow they are connected through different paths, but it's something that we need to envision, or I guess that we need to find a path, because it's clear that one of the things that I detected working during this time in Starway and in A4U is that there is a huge need for AI from the perspective of data, so that connection is clear. And there is a huge need, not only on events or on courses, but also in different directions to make all the flow for the SMEs and low-tech SMEs to move applications or assets, AI assets, through all the value of all the chain of data, AI, and resources. So I think that this is my presentation. So it ends here. Thanks.
Hi, Elisa. Do you want me to share my screen and start my comments?
Yes, sure.
Please. Okay, sure. So first of all, thanks a lot for inviting me to be here, and it's a pleasure to be discussing with you and also with Gabriel. So we are all friends discussing here, and also it's a perfect timing for us because, as you probably know, we in the project EOSC4Data, we have also already identified EOSC and AI4U ecosystems as key stakeholders to engage with. But it's more in the case of our project, in the call, it was EOSC was explicitly mentioned by the Commission in the DTICT 05, together with the AI spaces. So for us, it's a must, sure, to collaborate with you both, your both ecosystems. And you know that we already started the conversation with both of you just to define how we can collaborate. But for us in the project now is the right time to start materializing this collaboration, because we already have our review a couple of weeks ago. We already have the project in a good path, building all the blocks and all the assets. And now I think it's the time to start thinking of the future, of the sustainability, and also collaboration with other initiatives. So again, for us, it's a perfect timing. And again, thanks a lot for the invitation. So I think that several of you already talk about EOSC4Data. Yes, my name is Daniel Alonso. I am the coordinator of the project. I'm really proud to be leading this initiative. And I think the name is quite also explicit because we are basically aiming to create an European Federation of Data-Driven Innovation Hubs. So it's very clear. We are also bringing together not only hubs, but also other initiatives collaborating at European level build an European catalog, federated catalog composed of assets brought by the different hubs at European level. And again, to bring closer those assets and those latest progress on big data at European level to our local ecosystems. Now the federation is already composed of 30 hubs, as you can see here, the whole map. 30 hubs covering 30 regions in 21 countries. So you can see also here Chineca, PSNC as coordinator of HPC for Poland and also EGI. So we are already share some partners. And as you can imagine, it's a quite complex exercise to bring together all the hubs to define the way of collaborating, governance models, sustainability models, also organizational models. And we are working on that, okay? But also the main asset that I wanted to emphasize today is the catalog that we are building. And I think there is some differences between this catalog and the ones that some of our colleagues presented in the presentation before of the EOSC projects, because in the case our catalog has two dimensions, okay? On the one hand, we have the European dimension where all the hubs are putting together, bringing together their more relevant assets. But at the same time, each of the hubs has to somehow particularize the offer according to the regional ecosystem, the needs of the SMEs in their specific ecosystem, but also taking into account that the services provided by other hubs improve, enlarge, or basically make a better offer for them. For instance, we can skip services that somehow overlap with our services, but on the other hand, include services that complement our offer. And at the end of the day, what we are trying to do is, again, to bring closer to those SMEs in our local ecosystems the latest advances at European level. So again, I think this is the difference, the double dimension, on the one hand, European dimension, on the other, the regional dimension, but at the same time, all the services are hosted or at least are provided by specific digital innovation hubs, okay? So they are, at the end of the day, they are responsible of providing or offering those services and sustaining them. So this is the big picture of our project. And now taking regarding the potential collaboration, okay, I have thinking of what Elisa already shared with us in the previous days. And of course, in our case, EUHubs for Data, the Federation of Hubs, has to be at the core of the collaboration. But also for me, it's also important to think of two different scenarios. On the one hand, the project phase, where we have several rules. Again, we have subject to our DOA, to our grant agreement, but we have also several constraints regarding Horizon 2020 rules. Also, we have a very tight timeline, as all of you know. And of course, we have to think of more, let's say, immediate results to be presented to tangible evidence as part of our deliverables. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, our idea is to build a sustainable federation just that will outlast the project. And we are working in the project for that, to keep this federation growing and also evolving after the project is done. So in this way, again, on the one hand, we are not subject to Horizon 2020 constraints, but in principle, we will not have budget for that. We have to think of a more, let's say, strategic way. And of course, the timing and the scenarios are different. On the other hand, what are the main differentiation of EUHubs for Data, or at least our more relevant aspect? Okay, we are thinking always of data-driven assets. On the one, in this way, we have built this catalog that now includes data sets, services, and courses and trainings. And for that, it might answer, Lisa, one of your previous questions, how we can collaborate. So in principle, we can think, for instance, of EOSC Hub as any other hub contributing to our catalog. So some of the services that were presented this morning can also be included in our catalog and be offered by some of the hubs at regional level. So this is one way of collaborating. But of course, we can also include other assets not identified now. For instance, access to data platforms, access to data spaces, I don't know, models, AI models, or other specific assets. So in this way, our catalog, again, is our main tool, can evolve in time, including other assets. But again, we can think of that. Okay. The other way is we are an environmental for experimentation. This test before invest that apply to all the hubs in our case is even more relevant because the AI spaces in PDBA were born with this concept, just to provide an experimentation environment. And in this case, I think we can offer several things. For instance, on the one hand, we are, as most of you already running experiments in our project, and we are learning a lot. Okay, so there are really success stories that are fostering cross-border collaboration between the hubs and addressing real challenges proposed by the SMEs. We are also testing, or at least experiencing in real life, how the legal and ethical framework that the Commission is publishing is affecting cross-border experimentation. Not only GDPR, but we are also identifying aspects on the Data Governance Act that can affect our federation in terms of data sharing. Also, Data Act, the AI Act will be published in the coming months and also will affect how we are doing our experiments. So for us, we can also propose our EUHAS for data as an environmental experimentation environment, just to test all these aspects. And of course, standards, benchmarking, certification. We can also use our hubs, our environmental, our experimentation environmental, to test and to check and to certificate standards and so on. And the final point is the SMEs and regional ecosystem. And again, Lisa already mentioned that. We from the hubs, we have access to a myriad of SMEs in our respective ecosystem, so we can provide this capillarity that can result also in discovery and usage of all the services that are included in our catalog. So this is something that we can provide. We are having access to, again, to a myriad of SMEs in our respective ecosystem. And of course, we can also talk about the funding, not only the funding that we are distributing in the project, but also other types of funding that we can identify at other levels, and we can also share with our SMEs, but also with the rest of the colleagues in the ecosystems. Okay. So this is all from my side, and from that, maybe I will finish here, and we can start, if we have time, to discuss some of the aspects that we have already mentioned.
Thank you, Daniel.
Maybe I propose, just to foster this discussion, maybe Elisa, you can bring back again this last slide where you had call it a table, kind of a table, where we, because I see in all these free approaches and presentations that those initiatives are having different domains. They are complementary. There are some similarities, but there are a lot of the things that differentiate them, and this is even more important than we can profit out of each other. But I think we should not go start this discussion with too high level. Maybe we could start identifying one or two or three even smaller items where we could start with, and then maybe we could have some follow-up of our three initiatives and try to succeed with some first steps. So, for example, with any of those here that has been mentioned. So, yeah, I don't know, Gabriel, for example.
Let me. Well, I think that there are. Well, all the points are super key, okay? But I think that, well, visibility is something that is achievable as we are doing now. I think that is something that, and actually we know each other, so it's easy. They only have to pick up the phone and we will move, you know. But
and it's even more easy because you all three speak Spanish, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's actually true. So it's even easier. It's even easier. So, but I guess that from the perspective of the funding, that's funding and technical services. I would like to open those two. From funding perspective, I think that is a real waste. I was talking this actually with Elisa the other day, in the project of Starway that we are working together, and one of the main lost or one of the main key aspects that are lost is in all the applicants, open calls, all the 4 that the people make, there are only a few that succeed, but all the other ones that they didn't succeed, it doesn't mean that they are bad. Well, some of them they might be, but there is a big percentage of really success cases that will be super applicable to other funding mechanisms. And those funding mechanisms are not shared. So that's one of the key aspects that for me as an innovator or as an SME, I can go to apply to EU Hub for Data corridor, and okay, this is not suitable. However, it would be suitable for the other one. That's something that I guess that is important to have that definition. There are some limitations like GDPR or sharing the data that I think that's the tricky part. That's the really tricky part. However, I think that is a waste of effort and a waste of time to try to collect all of them. I don't know what the others think.
Yeah, it's a good point, and actually it will be also encouraging for the companies to apply, because they will see that if they are not succeeding in one of the calls, maybe they can be forwarded to the others. you're right. And in the case of EOSC for data, I have to say that we don't have much time because we are publishing our last open call in September. But it is true that it will be as simple as including in our guidelines a comment. Yeah, okay, if you are not including this program, maybe you will have the possibility to be including other programs, siblings, communities of this project. So we can think of that. Definitely, Gabriel. It will increase also the number of applicants. And I agree with you. You know, the threshold sometimes is very, they are quite close to each other. So why not also select some of the others? So this is definitely one thing that we can explore. But again, in EOSC for data, we don't have much time, so we have to act quickly. So this is a call for action for the three of us.
Mm-hmm. So I think there's one very quick action point, and for the joint experimental paths, I even would ask kind of a question that maybe you don't need to reply, but let's say that we have another, let's say, call where we would have an kind of the request for, let's say, the AI kind of expertise, right? And then data sets that are not available in EOSC, but might be available in, let's say, EU hubs for data portfolio. So do you see, is there feasible to have kind of this win-win call where we could combine those services coming from those three to, it is not then not really joint experimentation path, but it's even kind of trying experiment with these three initiatives inside one kind of win-win call. Do you see that this could be in any way feasible, or there's no chance for such thing? I know that there are some also on EOSC initiatives like AI for EOSC starting very soon. And I think they will be very interested also in collaboration with the Stairway AI project, or they will be looking for sure for the data sets and for more, even more data. So just to mention one project, I know there may be some other will start, but yeah.
I can jump. Elisa is mine because Elisa knows me. I think that the main issue that I see is that many times we try to replicate, and it's normal. It's normal. So I've been a researcher for a long time ago to see how some people was discovering the wheel in something that has been used in another area for 20 years, you know, and they discover the light when they jump there. So I think that is happening something similar with the services and assets. The main point is to have communication between the different things that has been done in the different sites to see if someone already has it, don't initiate it, join that as a contributor, and then enlarge what is being done there. That's one of the main, I think, of the main complexities of the ecosystem that is very large and varied. That there are many projects, there are many initiatives doing in many cases similar things, and they don't talk to each other and they replicate, then they flood the system. I also understand that there is a limitation here and a main problem, that is when you start talking about governance, IP and exploitation of all of that, you are talking about a completely different animal there. Then we are moving to a different thing. If I share this with you, how you are going to bring it, or how I want to monetize this, and if you use it. So we are entering into a different type of problem with respect to the technical services and assets. Technically is doable. The other thing is to find the agreement on how to move it in governance point of view.
Yeah, this is sorry.
No, well, just wanted to say that I totally agree with Gabriel. And that's why we started defining some type of points on a, let's say, basic collaboration that will not require this type of high-level agreements and so, just to simplify and to start already creating a an arena between us to collaborate.
Yes, well, what I was going to say that you are completely right, Gabriel. In the case of, and this is why I proposed in my previous slides, okay, the project phase and the after project phase. In the case of the project phase, we, the hubs in EU Hub for Data, we are subject to our concession agreement and grant agreement. So this is why we are more or less sharing information, also combining services and working together. Okay, in our case, the idea is to set up also the rules for the future collaboration. But in the case of external initiative, for instance, EOSC and AI, yeah, this is more difficult. So this is something that we have to define, but not only the governor, but also I have a question for EOS and AI for EU, who is providing the support and the sustainability for the services once the project are done. Because in the case of EU Hub for Data, again, we have the hubs behind all the services because at the end of the day, they are the ones providing. But in the case of those projects, because this by chance this morning, one colleague of mine already brought my attention to those two services, Amnesia and Argos from OpenAIRE, that could be also interesting for our experiments. But who really is providing those services? Who is behind the services? Because it's a consortium, but there is
so there are
an entity
behind. Yeah.
So again, many ways to collaborate, but there are different issues to solve before materializing this collaboration. Yes.
Okay. So sorry for asking, looking into too much futures. I agree with Elisa. Maybe that we should start maybe with what we here identified as first points, so where we could maybe start, and then if this succeeds, we can move forward. I think it's a good starting point here already with our joint visibility and with our discussions. And yeah, so let's try to materialize at least this one action that we identify for Second Life applicants, right? So that it was one of the first action, and I think we are now at the end of our time. So I just wanted to ask if there are any. So I would like to thank panelists now, and I would like just to ask if there are any questions from the audience also. No, I see there is no question. So I understand this is a very long, week also of different talks, and we are Friday, and we are just now stopping people for going basically to the weekend. Okay, so let's not do that. So okay, so I'd like to thank you again, all the speakers, all the panelists, and all the audience for coming to us and for joining our session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks a lot.
Nice. Have a nice.
Bye.
Bye-bye.